They watched her walk from one funeral to another, a shawl wrapped tight, her face calm as winter glass. Children dimmed in her presence, their breath thinning like mist before dawn. Husbands weakened without warning, bodies folding under pains no doctor recognized. In the cold towns of northern England, a woman moved through parlors and sick rooms, and wherever she paused, life dwindled.
Subscribe.
County Durham, 1855. A place where cold lived in the walls and miners left pieces of themselves underground. Mary Ann Robson learned early that survival meant silence. A girl raised near pit houses where hunger pressed against every dawn. She married young. William Mowbray brought steadiness, a rare kindness in a world shaped by suit and wages. Their children came quickly. Illness followed without pause. Doctors blamed gastric fever, a phrase used when nothing fit. Bodies stiffened, eyes dulled. Mary Ann stood beside each bed with a composure that unsettled even the clergy. Mowbray died after days of violent sickness. A policy payout eased the shock. Neighbors pitied her, a young widow with loss stitched into her days. But grief repeated itself, another marriage, and then another. Homes changed, yet death kept pace with her footsteps. Patterns formed, but no one dared trace them. By the early 1860s, her life thinned into movement. Town to town, never rooted long enough for suspicion to settle. Children collapsed with sudden fevers. Husbands clutched their stomachs as if something inside them begged to escape. Mary Ann prepared broths and insisted they drink even as their voices frayed. Insurance agents recognized her name before her neighbors did. Each claim small, but steady enough to mark a trail. When her friend Margaret Cotton died abruptly, Mary Ann visited the grieving widower George. She offered help with the children, a presence, a warm voice in a house emptied too quickly. But Margaret's children began to weaken. 2 were gone by summer's end. A third cried through nights that never softened. George noticed how Mary Ann insisted on mixing their food alone, how she cleaned cups twice, how she watched the door whenever the doctor arrived. He felt fear grow beside him, not loud, just persistent. Still, he said nothing. Silence can be a trap that feels like loyalty. In 1872, Mary Ann accepted work in the home of James Robinson, a man cautious with his accounts and quicker to question patterns. His children trusted her. They liked her stories, the way she folded blankets with care. But illness returned, not sudden, just steady, like breath leaving in increments. Robinson watched her hands, how she served tea, how she rinsed the pot before anyone looked inside. When another child collapsed, he confronted her. Her explanations were soft, woven from hardship and sorrow, but something underneath the words felt empty. He dismissed her, barred the door, kept the remaining children close until morning. Marianne moved on to Frederick Cotton, her next husband in a line that no priest could ignore. He died before winter ended. His sons soon followed. Only the smallest child survived long enough for a doctor to finally name what he smelled on the spoon: arsenic, sharp as cold metal. The room fell silent. No fever could explain this. Investigators pulled at her past, expecting loose threads and finding a tapestry of graves. Burial records aligned too neatly. Insurance payments mapped her path from village to village. Every home held the same echoes: lingering sickness, washed cups, quiet goodbyes. Some believed greed drove her. Small payouts stacked carefully, enough to keep days steady. Others saw compulsion, a need for control masked as caretaking. Suffering moved through her houses with the predictability of weather. Neighbors argued fate, doctors argued chemistry, the court argued everything else. But the bodies spoke louder. Children who never reached 5, husbands who trusted too deeply, women who welcomed her into their sick rooms only to leave them by dawn. 20 deaths, perhaps more, each linked by a powder that dissolved without color and killed without hesitation. The robe took her in March 1873. England exhaled, but the towns she touched never returned to stillness. Rooms she occupied feel colder than others. Parish stones carry names, made brief by hands that promised comfort. Arsenic lingers not in taste, but in memory. A reminder that danger sometimes whispers, never shouts. People claimed she was a monster. Others said she was a mirror, showing what desperation becomes when no one looks closely. And when the lights fade in old mining towns, when the last kettle cools and the house settles into its bones, a question drifts across the floorboards. If harm arrived gently, the way Marianne Cotton did, would anyone see it before the quiet became permanent?
Like and subscribe.